Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. And we're going to take a look at the next chapter in the Lisa Cameron story. Lisa Cameron, of course, is the doctor, the clinical psychologist turned MP, who, by dint of showing compassion for the victim of Patrick Grady, rather than welcoming the toucher-upper of other people's children back into the party, has shown herself to be a decent woman who cares about victims. And of course, that is not the SNP way. They don't care about victims, they only care about perpetrators. And so while Patrick the Thumb Grady was welcomed back, she was then bullied and ostracised and had snide remarks made. And now she's facing deselection from the local party, who are trying to find various ways of getting her out because they want to get the new favourite in, someone who is much more sort of closely aligned with the hate and division of the SNP, and who has no problem with casting people under a bus to welcome back the perpetrators of the crimes, rather than showing any sort of decency, human decency. And so this is where we are. So we're going to take a look at that. I will say, just as a bit of housekeeping, that when I first did the story, I pronounced her constituency as East Kilbride, Strathaven, and Lesmahago. And of course, my pronunciation was corrected in the comments. It's absolutely obviously right because it's Straven. It's not somewhere I've been, so I've never actually heard it, strangely. So that's why I didn't say it correctly. But I'm prepared. I do make mistakes. I'm not the SNP. I admit them. And so if you pick up on something I've got it wrong, just mention it in the comments and I will correct it. Make sure it doesn't happen again or set the record straight, that sort of thing. As I say, I admit I make my mistakes and I do try to correct them. So thank you. Anyway, we'll get into the story, see what's going on. Right, SNP MP fighting for her job is urged to walk away now as the civil war deepens. A long-standing SNP hit out at Lisa Cameron's record representing the East Kilbride, Straven and Lesmahago seat. She may well walk away, but I think she'll walk away and I think there's going to be a by-election. I think that's increasingly likely. And that'll be another headache, I think, for Humza Yousaf, because she's well liked in her constituency. And once people know why the party are throwing her out, I think that will engender a lot of sympathy. And all it takes is if she goes is for, say, Labour and the Lib Dems or whatever to say, no, we're not going to, and the Tories to say, no, we're not going to put a candidate up. We're just going to let this be a straight fight between Lisa Cameron and the SNP, because it will send another message back to the SNP. And if all the Labour and Tory voters vote her back in as an independent, it would really, really give Humza Yousaf a massive punch on the nose, wouldn't it? He'd walk away there scuffed and bruised. Anyway, a senior SNP activist has claimed an MP who's fighting for her job has done little for Scotland or her constituents. And that's a load of rubbish, we know. Duncan McLean, who is another one of those incestuous relationships, he's married to an MSP and she won't take his name. Why does Linda Fabiani not become Linda McLean? Is it because the SNP have this thing where there's lots of them married to each other and they never take each other's names because they don't want people to know how incestuous and closed it truly is as a party? It's almost like a mafia crime family. Everyone's related to everyone else. Everyone's incestuously related. People are leaving one person and marrying another person still within the party. There's a lot of it about. And so that is why it's a very hard club to get into. And it's why they all look after each other and keep their mouths stum. Because they don't, if one goes, they all go. That's how bad it is. Anyway, Cameron, the MP for East Kilbride, Straven and Lesmahago since 2015, is in the middle of a bitter selection battle for the general election. The anti-termination MP, can't say that word, is up against local activist Grant Costello, who has secured the support for high-profile backers. These include MSPs Christine McKelvey, Colette Stevenson and former parliamentarian Linda Fabiani, the wife of Duncan McLean. McLean, who is Fabiani's partner, told you, has now taken aim at Cameron in a Facebook post. He said, regretfully, you've turned into exactly the type of MP Scottish Labour fielded for years before voters across Scotland turfed them out. That is why not only Linda, but almost every activist in East Kilbride SNP is backing your opponent. They know that people like you are not part of the solution for Scotland, you're part of the problem. What a tiny, tiny little man he is. But he's only got a little one, you know what I mean? He's added, Grant wants to go to Westminster to settle up on Scotland's behalf, not settle down. And by contrast, you take great pride in how well you and your staff contribute to the Westminster Parliament. Well, if you don't like the Westminster Parliament, why are you so desperate to send your chum there? This has got nothing to do with who's doing what at Parliament. This is everything to do with the fact that she stood up and represented something that you could never be. Honest, decent, compassionate and caring. Things that are alien to most SNP politicians. He said, the fact that little of this work benefits Scotland or your constituents seems to have passed you by. And whatever talent and intelligence you possess, now she, don't forget, is a medical doctor, so intelligence definitely way more than this horrible little bullying shit. She said seems to be clouded by your ambition and desire. She's already said she's willing to quit. She doesn't have the ambition to go for office. She wants to represent the people. She said this. Says you appear to have lost sight of what you were sent to Westminster to achieve. Well, she can achieve nothing. None of the SNPs at Westminster can achieve anything because they don't have the power. Cameron has claimed she was bullied by the SNP Westminster group after standing up for a victim of sexual harassment by the Thumb. Patrick the Thumb Grady did this. McLean wrote, you have also threatened to walk away if you're not reselected. If you wish to retain a shred of dignity, please do walk away now. I think both you and I know that most of the party's active members will not work with you on your re-election campaign after such a display. In a statement to the Herald, Cameron said the accusations were truly reprehensible. She said, to double down on bullying someone who's undergone 12 months of counselling after standing up for a victim of sexual harassment at the hands of the SNP is truly reprehensible. And to dismiss my need for therapy as claiming victimhood is entirely shocking. She says, I retain the support of local councillors and grassroots members and my full dignity in standing up for what is morally right, good for her. She says that Grady is a travesty, that he's disgusting and he should have been thrown out of the party. And she is, of course, completely right. And most decent human beings would agree with her. She's threatened that if she's not selected, she's going to resign immediately and force a by-election. And I hope she does. And as I say, I think if the Tories, Labour and the SNP fielded no candidate, she would get back in with an increased majority and shove two fingers right up at the incestuous monsters that run the SNP. They're filled with the protection of people like Grady and have no regard to the victims, the many victims across the whole party of sexual harassment, be it from councillors, MPs, MSPs or other people connected. Well done, Lisa Cameron. I can't vote for you, but if I could, I bloody well would. I'm finished and I'm coming up. Now, I think she needs to have a word with Fergus Ewing, and the pair of them should coordinate their resignations and forcing these two by-elections, one as an MSP, one as an MP, and do it just before the party conference. And if you can get a third, if there's a third out there who's willing to go, and you can go 3 days before, 2 days before, the day before, and just go bing, bang, bong, you know, and hit 1, 2, 3, like there'll be like shots across the bow for Humza Yousaf, and that would give Kate Forbes, I think, the chance to really push and get him out. He's completely monstrous. If he was a leader, if he was a true leader, this wouldn't happen. He would have gone there. He would have sorted this out on day one. He'd have said, enough, stop it. But he's not a true leader. He's a very weak man. And they're full of weak men. Duncan McLean writing a little letter like that. What a truly awful person he must be. What a tiny man. Morally bankrupt. God knows Fabiani deserves him. I mean, they're both disgusting, aren't they? You got all these little incestuous relationships. We're all looking at each other, and it's just a disgusting party. To do that to someone who actually shows compassion to victims it's low, isn't it? It's just low. Anyway, I shall stop there. Thank you very much for watching. If you like what we're seeing here on the channel, please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video. And until next time, stay safe, stay well, and remember, they can be voted out as quick as you can. And if you're a decent human being, you'll do so. Bye.